Welcome to the starting lineup for Week 5 with Andrew Wiebe. I'm Jason Saghini. We're going to start off this week talking about Nick DeLeon's injury. DC on a bye this week, so you might have been getting rid of him anyway, but you need to get him off your team. He's down to $7.7 million, and he's dropping if you haven't gotten rid of him already. Andrew, what's the trade to make?
Well, I talked him up last week. Jackson at FC Dallas is a great play right now. Daigo Kobayashi, also a very good play. Had some chances last week, didn't convert, but I expect him to do so moving forward.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about the buys this week. 3 teams on a buy this week, 5 teams on a buy next week, so you really need to keep an eye on the schedule. One other note for this week, Omar Cummings on the verge of returning to the field. We've talked about how important he could be for Houston. Are you buying him yet?
No, I do not buy him yet. He got that action with the reserves, but 90 minutes fit, that's no guarantee. Wait and see on him till next week.
All right, he's at 8.3 right now. We'll see where he ends up next week. Moving to the fan questions, and we have a lot of them. Rexith FC asks, could Jack McBean be the next Deshaun Brown? And I'm going to take this one, Andrew. They're completely different players. Right now, I'm sticking with Deshaun Brown. He has 2 straight home games, including next week against Real Salt Lake, who he scored against last time. Jack McBean right now, 1, he has a bye next week. 2, Robbie Keane could be back from injury at that point when LA gets back. McBean is a short-term play. I'm not sure I like him right now.
And speaking of Robbie Keane, you may need a replacement for him. Chris Wondolowski, that's like for like on price. Maybe hot after that goal last weekend, but I would go with Alvaro Saborio at 10.1. Had some injury concerns, but I think he's back and he is scoring goal after goal for RSL.
All right, Jeff Smith asks, any chance MLS teams are going to rest players who played in midweek, specifically Graham Zusi? Dean Nissan asked the same question. Everyone wants to know, is Graham Zusi going to be on the field?
I have Graham Zusi. I'm going to play him this week. He and Matt Beasler at Sporting KC, some of the fittest players in MLS. They need a win. They need a performance at home. I think Peter Vermes goes to that duo.
All right, you look at the other teams. The LA Galaxy, for me, is the one team that's in question. Yeah. Omar Gonzalez played a tough game there in Mexico City, all 90 minutes, then has to travel to DC, to Canada. I don't know if he's going to play, but I think I'd expect Brad Davis to play. I'd expect the Real Salt Lake guys to play as far as all the rest of them go. Cameron Evans asks, he's looking for a better combination of keepers. Right now he has Raimondo and Perkins. Andrew, is he investing too much in his goalkeeper?
Yes, he's investing too much. You need to drop one of those. I would drop Raimondo, hold on to Perkins at 5.2. He's the cheaper option. Then what you need to do is pick up the cheapest goalkeeper you can. Those dollars are much more well spent out in the field of play. That's where you'll get the bang for your buck.
Patrick Favoli says, how would you spend $17.7 million on 1 midfielder and 1 forward? That's plenty of money here.
Yeah, a lot of money. And I talked him up last week, and it paid off for you if you picked him up. Jackson and FC Dallas at 7.6, then Alvaro Saborio at 10.1. That's a match made in heaven. You could also look at Brad Davis. We mentioned him, and then Darren Maddox. Those two also match up as well.
I had a similar choice to make this week, and I actually went with Espindola and Jackson. I like Espindola's schedule coming up. Unfortunately, just found out he might have some hamstring tightness, so I'd say maybe Darren Maddox as the other choice. I agree with you there, Andrew. Well, of course, that means it's the lightning round. Plenty of questions to get to here, so let's move. Leonardo asks, who's your sleeper for round 5? He says his is Edgar Mejia.
I'll give you 2, Jack McInerney and Steve Zakawani. Moving to our own Dan Hayek, he wants to know, is Josh Williams going to continue to produce at Wando-like levels?
In fantasy terms, yes. For a defender, he's constantly getting into the attack. He's always up on set pieces and very good in the air. I think he has to be on your team, except for this week because he's on a bye. Moving on, Messi Moraes says, will Kenny Mansally start for Real Salt Lake, and has Clint Irwin nailed down the starter job in Colorado?
Take a wait and see on Kenny Mansally with Lavelle Palmer in there, and then I think Irwin, he's nailed that job down. Moving on to Brandon Boyer, thinking about trading up Kobayashi for Mejia, but unsure if that's short-term gain, long-term loss.
Stick with Kobayashi. Mejia's on a bye next week. Final question, Anthony Dursky asks, defender help, George John or Jamison Olave?
Easy one, George John.
That's all we have for this week's starting lineup. Don't forget to send your questions to @MLS Fantasy. Enjoy the weekend and good luck in your games.